Crow is a comic by James O'Barr published in 1989. The comic focuses on a man resurrected after him and his girlfriend are brutally murdered by a gang. He comes back to take revenge on everyone who killed his girlfriend in glorious fashion. The comic was created after the unfortunate death of James O'Barr's fiancée. After her death, he enlisted in the Marines, and while he was enlisted, he started work on the comic as a form of therapy, and it shows. The comic is filled with nothing but soul and pain. You can see it on every page. This man's heart and soul is poured into this. It's a painful, incredible read, and you see this man's process of grief through the character of Eric and the entire comic as a whole. It's personal, it's violent, and it's beautiful. It is my personal favorite comic book and one of the greatest pieces of art I've ever experienced. And this is Mike and Melissa.
Oh, God. I look like a crazy person.
Mike and Melissa is an experience. The backstory and production of it is shrouded in a lot of mystery and conjecture, including stuff like it was made for extra credit for a film class, to the creator being one of the co-creators of Steven Universe. It was supposed to be a pilot to a web series that never took off. The less than 16-minute video was created by one Mike Chenoweth. It was made with some help from college friends, but was primarily drawn, animated, and voice acted by Mike. The short was based on Mike's experiences and frustrations being a college student and his breakup with his ex-girlfriend, who was name dropped in the cartoon, but they bleep it out. So this is pretty much just this one man's artistic vision, really, and it makes it much more interesting. The story is simple. Mike is a college student who wears a helmet with fur ears on it. He spends the beginning of the day screwing around in his apartment, and then he goes to school and is upset that a woman with very poorly drawn boobs won't say hello to him, revealing he's an incel. She probably didn't say hello because he was wearing a t-shirt that said Mike the Hardcore and Awesome, so he looked mentally ill. He goes to film class and is bored by a teacher teaching him shot composition, which is funny because of it looking like this. So after his painful film class, he's excited for a party, and is filled with nothing but annoying people, so Mike just gets wasted. The band at the party sucks, so Mike's metal friend freaks out and turns the party into a wreck, causing him to go home. Pretty simple stuff so far. When he gets home, he starts, wanker! So he can just feel something. And then while he's masturbating, a purple skunk lady named Melissa appears. He freaks out, but she reveals that she's either a puka, which is a tulpa-like being that's come to help Mike in his time of need, or just a figment of Mike's imagination. They never specify, and I think that's kind of interesting. They didn't,
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no. After that, they wake up and decide to go on a walk, where they discuss what's going to happen with the two. Either Mike will get through this period of his life, or he won't, and Melissa will have him all to herself. Mike decides to be with Melissa either way, possibly sacrificing his sanity for some sort of comfort and happiness. Now, this is bad. The animation looks like a toddler animated it, the voice acting and audio mixing is really rough, and the story is straight up psychotic. So why am I arguing for it? Well, can a bad piece of art still be emotionally impactful? Or, more importantly, can something be so bad that it becomes beautiful? When people refer to something as so bad it's good, it almost always refers to a bad piece of media that's so bad that it becomes retroactively funny and makes the experience enjoyable. I feel like this, in some respect, can be applied to Mike and Melissa, but that's not what I mean. Can a bad piece of art, through its badness, create beauty in its artistic expression and story? Nostalgia Critic's The Wall is a review by Doug Walker. The attempt is to review the Pink Floyd's The Wall movie, but it becomes more of a bizarro remake / parody of The Wall, which with way too many people working on it, and a very confused bad faith critique of the movie. And it's amazing. There's a considerable amount more people involved in this than The Crow or Mike and Melissa, but it's still clearly Doug's vision. It transforms from being about Doug's frustrations with the film and more about his frustration with social media and abstract storytelling in general, and it's fascinating to watch. By traditional standards, this is awful. I'm not gonna lie. But there's so much effort and so much creativity in it. This is Doug putting himself out there in the boldest and biggest way possible, creating something so bizarre that it is kind of beautiful in a way, in my opinion. Beauty is a complicated word when applied to art, considering it can be fairly subjective. I'm not a scholar or anything, I'm just a kid making this video on my phone, but I think there's some sort of beauty to be found in most art. But true beauty in art is something very special. True beauty shown or created through art can be something very special and at times almost holy. It's something every artist tries to achieve, but few ever really do. And when you see it, you never forget it.
Like tears in rain. Time to die.
I don't think this applies to Mike and Melissa or The Wall. I don't think I'm giving the hottest take that true artistic beauty is not in either of these. What I am trying to say is that there is true artistic expression shown through these works. Objectivity, when applied to art, is a very complicated subject. I am not prepared to get into it. I do believe that there is some sort of objective quality in art, but our opinions are ultimately subjective to what we think. Of course, this is constantly used as an excuse to dismiss everyone's opinion, but I do think there is a way to judge something and in the rules of what is good and what is bad. But I do think our standards of quality can be bent, specifically to the type of art that we're creating. The thing with The Crow that is undeniable on every page is James O'Barr's expression of guilt and pain. You can see the comic as being a bit edgy, and there is some inconsistent art throughout, and it feels kind of patchwork, but I don't care. I think it works and is pretty perfect, even in its flaws. You can feel James almost because of the rough edges and flaws, and it's something very few pieces of art let you experience. Weirdly enough, in Mike and Melissa, you can feel Mike as well. A little too much of Mike in my opinion, but you can still feel it. It very well shows Mike's frustrations with college, his loneliness, and the repetition in his life. His only escape is kind of himself or something created by him. You can see into this man's psyche through the poorly drawn furries, and it's fascinating.
You should go watch it just to see the little details that you will not understand for the life of you.
I think it's really interesting.
Well, yeah,
especially
the more
the
you
ending.
watch it, the more you watch it.
The ending is really compelling because you're having somebody who clearly is not there at all.
He's creating an echo chamber for himself so he doesn't have to feel bad about being
it's
bad.
interesting. It's like kind of watching Garth Marenghi, for example.
Yes.
That it's a story being told by someone kind of portraying himself as the hero because the world around him frustrates him and he doesn't have a place there because of his own fault.
Yeah, and the more you watch it, the more little details you pick up on.
The thing I've come across the most is the idea of Melissa representing his waifu or porn addiction or an actual coping mechanism he had, creating this fake waifu skunk. But if you want to get really pretentious, I kind of think she represents his creativity. It's very much implied that she is made up in his head. What else was made up in Mike's mind? This cartoon. That's how it ends. It ends with Mike saying he made this entire cartoon for her. I think the ending is Mike coping with his frustrations through his art and trying to move past them, which in my opinion is kind of beautiful. Of course, Mike showed this video to an entire class and was bullied by the internet into never making anything again, and that's kind of sad. I'm not trying to argue that Nostalgiatrix The Wall is good. I'm not trying to argue that Mike and Melissa is good either. But I can't deny how interesting they are and how they show you a view into the creators. In a time where every piece of art is made by committee like Ant-Man 3, or made without sincerity like Cocaine Bear, maybe some incels cartoon about him and his skunk girlfriend is kind of what we need. Okay, maybe it's not what we need, but it's something important we can learn from at least. Something focused on artistic expression over anything else. Something that can, in a way, become beautiful. That's more valuable than any other type of art I can think of, at least to me. To me, it's something that is personal and expressive is way more valuable than any other type of art. And even if it's something terrible, like Mike and Melissa and The Wall, I almost don't care. And even if it is terrible, if it's made with enough passion, it can just become hilarious. Or maybe I'm just schizophrenic and I've just been rambling over and over again. Anyway, go read The Crow. That's a good book. I like The Crow.